Hello students, I am Chandra Prakash Tiwari, PGT English KBRA, and today we'll read a chapter which is an article about the discovery of Egyptian boy king Tutankhamun, better known as Tut. And this article was published in National Geographic, volume 207, written by A.R. Williams. But before going to this chapter, we must know something about the Egypt itself, because without knowing Egypt, we cannot make or frame any kind of idea regarding the stories or the articles related with this land. Egypt has been a fascinating land for historians, archaeologists, and scholars, with its pyramids, sphinx, mummies, ancient civilization, legendary people like Cleopatra and Tutankhamun, etc. And this ancient civilization still attracts a school of scholars and curious people for discovery about ancient Egyptian science and occult practices. Egypt itself is a complete subject for study known as Egyptology, and since the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb, there has been a surge in Egyptomania. People have gone maniac regarding the intriguing and riveting stories, myth, legends, and legacy of this ancient land, Egypt. Uh, and this ancient land is a land of river and valley, and the great river Nile flows there, still flows there. So this civilization was irrigated by the river Nile and the wonderful practices of the ancient land. The title of this chapter, this article is very interesting. Discovering Tut, the saga continues. Means that discovery was not complete in itself. Of course, that was a very historic moment. That was a very historic episode in the annals of archaeology. But this saga still continues because after this discovery, a number of discoveries were also went on and undergone, and this gave an impetus, this gave an initiative, and a sort of motivation to all the archaeologists to go for further archaeological survey and excavations in order to know the life, legacy, and mystery of this ancient land. So, this article is about the boy king Tutankhamun, and this entire article revolves around the central figure, King Tut. But in the light of this boy king Tutankhamun, we also uh, we also can have a very bright and very beautiful riveting picture of the life of royal people of ancient Egypt, and also about mummification and how these mummies were, how dead bodies were turned into mummy, and all the articles which were kept along with the mummies. Okay, let's move. So a brief introduction about King Tutankhamun. King Tutankhamun is one of the most famous pharaohs ever to reign. So we must know that pharaoh is synonymous to kings. Pharaoh is a word which is used, or which was used, for kings in ancient Egypt. He actually did not get too much accomplished in his 10 years as pharaoh. The reason King Tut is so famous is because of his tomb. Means he lived a very short life and he became king in a very raw age of 6, and he died very young. So his accomplishment as a king is very meager. But there is a reason behind his name and fame, and that is the discovery of his tomb. His tomb was found in almost perfect condition, which interested historians and the media. King Tut is very well known pharaoh to this day. So how this unfortunate king, whose demise was very premature, still able to made his name in the history, and it is only and only because a very curious practice, a very intriguing practice of the ancient people, and that was mummification. I hope that you must have seen some movies based on mummy, means how how ancient Egyptian people turned their dead body into mummy with the help of some chemicals, with the help of some spices and other things which are yet to be known. Means there have been some certain discoveries about that also, but it is not yet pretty known. Means what are the things which were used to turn a dead body into mummy. So I hope that you might have seen, or I hope that you will see after you will watch those movies after reading this chapter. So uh, this discovery of Tut's tomb was not the first discovery of any mummy, but there had been various discoveries of uh, these tombs and these mummies, but they were not in accordance with archaeological practices. Means there was not a concerted approach, a very pragmatic and practical approach to discover these mummies. There were robbers who used to discover these mummies in the lure of the treasure troves, because these mummies were buried along with valuable items, jewelries. That's why they were stolen away by the robbers, and that's why this discovery of Tut's tombs becomes very significant, because this is the first burial chamber which was found intact, which was found absolutely safe, undisturbed, without any decomposition and decay and damage. And that's why this burial chamber and this discovery gives us a complete picture of the mummification, about the burial chamber, about the coffin, about the mummy itself, and about all the treasures and paraphernalias which were kept along with the mummy. And that's why this discovery of Tut's tomb is historical in a sense. And it was discovered by Howard Carter, a British archaeologist, in 1922, and it is considered one of the most important archaeological finds of the century. After years of painstaking work in the Valley of Kings, there is a Valley of Kings in ancient Egypt, and it is located in the south of ancient Egypt on the banks of river Niles, and it is nestled in the cliffs of a mountain which is quite rugged by the heavy rain. Uh, and there was a patron of Howard Carter who was investing his money and who was giving all the supports to Howard Carter in order to search these tombs. But Howard Carter kept searching for many years, and his exercise was absolutely futile. And that's why his patron had become dejected that no, it's not working. And that's why he warned him that it's your last chance, and if you still do not able to find anything, so we'll close all this business. But fortunately, on November 22 of that year, Carter's persistence finally paid off, and his magnificent treasures became the measuring stick. Means finally in 1922, in November 1922, he found the tomb of uh, Tutankhamun, and the rest is just story. The rest is just a saga. The mysteries surrounding his life and death are gradually being solved, and his story continues to unfold as new theories as proposed in an attempt to explain what really happened to the boy behind the golden mask. So in 1922, Tutankhamun was found absolutely intact in the golden casket, in the golden box. And then he went under the CT scan, he went under the scanner and autopsy after autopsy. And lot of discoveries and facts were found about him. And so this is a milestone discovery. This is a path breaking discovery, because after this discovery, it gave an impetus to the future archaeologists, to the fellow archaeologists, to go for the more, and it became a touchstone, or it became a yardstick for the measurement and for the procedure of this entire business. And that's why this discovery becomes very important. It because it motivated the future archaeologists to go for further discoveries. And the very title suggests that Saga Continues, means it was not only a moment or episode, but still people are searching and trying to know some other aspects and facets of the boy king Tut. Means it takes us back 3300 years ago, and allures people that how rich and how advanced the ancient Egyptian people were in the field of science and in the field of their practices. Means they were able to make gold jewelry of golds, and they were able to make uh, other things which is quite advanced as per the given time. And this chapter is significant in one more aspect, and we can say that this chapter is a chapter about the production of knowledge. Means the knowledge production of archaeology, how archaeology has become a tool in the hands of archaeologists and scientists to know about the world of past. Archaeology has changed substantially these days, and now it's focusing less on treasure and more on the fascinating details of life and mysteries of death. Means earlier on, the archaeologists used to excavate land only in order to hunt the treasures, but nowadays they are doing it for the sake of knowledge of the past life, knowledge of the people who are buried under the soil. So now it also uses more sophisticated tools, including medical technologies. And so this chapter is all about the medical terminology, means the wedding between the archaeology and medical science, and how this wedding can bring a wholesale, holistic change in the approach of archaeologists, and can open some new windows into the ancient world. That's why this chapter talks about the diagnostic imaging, which can be done with a computed tomography, CT scan, MRI, which gives us three-dimensional pictures of Tut's body. And there were 1700 pictures taken back in 2005, and it was able to help some revealing facts about the boy king Tutankhamun, like how his bone was breastbone was missing, how his rib was broken, and they made an speculations that it seems that it is not his natural death, rather he was attacked by someone, or it may be an accident, he might have meted an accident. So these are some of the speculations made by the archaeologist. So this chapter is all about the miracles of medical science, that how it can turn impossibility to possibility, and how William reports gives an insight into a mummy scanned after 1,000 years that has opened new avenues regarding a cause of its death. So no one can imagine that someone who had died almost thousands of years, over 3,000 years ago, is still his death can be reimagined, and his body can be reshaped, and his body can be rejuvenated. So all these are miracles this chapter talks about. So this chapter is not only about the ancient magic, about the ancient occult practices, but also about the miracles and mystery of science. And this mummy referred to here is that of King Tut or Tutankhamun, meaning the living image of Amun. And this chapter also talks about the practices of ancient royal people who were called as pharaoh. Means their god was Amun, and there was a very revolutionary king whose name was Amenhotep IV, and he had shocked his country by attacking even the god image Amun. Means it was something very revolutionary in the then time to destroy or to obliterate an established religious practice. But that's why Amenhotep is called the first bold individual. He was able to challenge the religion, and he was able to bring a wholesale change in the attitude and aptitude of the people of his clan. So, King Tutankhamun is the last king of that dynasty who had ruled over Egypt for a long, long time. And King Tut ruled only for 9 years, and then he died mysteriously and unexpectedly. And that's why his tomb, discovery of his tomb, became very significant to try to delve deep in that mystery. So, the role of science and technology and the discovering of Tut, and how everything, how every fact came to the fore with the help of this science and technology, is the subject matter of this chapter. uh, we have already talked about the CT scan, the DNA, the MRI, and the computed tomography, and the diagnostic imaging. So all these things have been dealt with in this article, which was quite revolutionary in the earlier decade of the 20th century. This is a picture of Tutankhamun meeting Osiris in afterlife, and this chapter is also about the strong and invincible faith of ancient Egyptian people in the afterlife. And that's why that burial chamber in which Tut was buried, there were three coffins, and there were a number of things which were buried along with the dead body, along with mummy of Tutankhamun. Means, and that is called funeraries. Means a lot of items, entire paraphernalias of life and livelihoods were buried along with this mummy, because they believed that Tutankhamun, all these kings would uh, burn again, and these things would help him a lot. So this is the picture, and this is a mural picture. Means when this Tutankhamun's burial chamber was discovered, it was not only about the mummy, but about the entire process. Means how those chambers were painted with wall paintings, which are called mural. So it is one of the murals which is painted on the cave wall. And in this picture, it is shown that Tutankhamun meeting Osiris in afterlife. So I hope that this chapter is clear, and now you will be able to go for further studies, because this chapter is multifaceted. It is not only a story of the boy king Tutankhamun, but it is also about the story of advancement of science and technology, and how it is opening new avenues in the field of archaeology. And there are various videos available on YouTube, or there are many documentaries and podcast also, which is based on the life of Tutankhamun and other kings, his forefathers. So I recommend you some of these. Like there are two or three documentary on BBC podcast. You can listen that, and there are certain documentary also available on YouTube, which will further enlighten you on the life and legacy of Tutankhamun and other ancient Egyptian kings. So thank you for watching this. I hope that this video will help you immensely in order to make a firm view, and in order to make an understanding regarding the life of Tutankhamun. Thank you.